G'day there guys, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Arsehole? Now if you love today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and get ready for some good stories. Am I the arsehole for wanting an expensive engagement ring? So me and my boyfriend have been talking about our future quite a bit, and he wants to get married and start a family. We've been together for almost 2 years. We generally get along really well, and we both love each other very much. This whole issue is over whether I'm being an asshole for wanting this engagement ring. We've been long distance our entire relationship, and I drove up 5 hours each way to see him 100% of the relationship. About 6-ish months ago when our future came up, I mentioned my family is Muslim, and the dowry requirement is practically non-negotiable and is fairly sizable. We talked about it and nearly had a falling out. I wound up telling my family that I wasn't getting a dowry, and that would be it. I nearly lost my relationship with my mum and brother, and I don't already have a relationship with my dad. This was very devastating since my family is extremely important to me, and so is my culture. But I conceded to this boyfriend it was a huge ask. Well, later we talked weddings, and he said he absolutely hated weddings and didn't see the point to them, and they were a huge waste of money. Again, my family is huge on weddings, and marriages are a family affair. Also, I kinda wanted a wedding, since in my culture we have amazing weddings, and I grew up going to and being a part of everyone's wedding, and I always wanted my own that my mum could shine at. Anyways, I also conceded to this since his reasoning makes sense. We decided we'd both like an elopement. About 5 months ago, he asked me to move in. This meant I'd leave my job that I love more than anything, and was incredibly difficult for me to consider. The only job I could find was in my old field that I worked hard to leave, and am taking a $23,000 pay cut for the next 2 years. But I did this for love. Plus, I'm moving my whole life to be with him. So I said, the only thing I ask is an engagement ring that I'd like that is 2 carats, which is about 30k-ish. He responded, okay, which I thought he meant he was good with. He makes about 50k more than I do, and well into the 6 figures with no debt. It's now 2 days into me moving in. He asked me to send him a few rings I like, and he was genuinely shocked at the price. I didn't really understand why, as he said he could afford it, but it would be half his savings, which he doesn't mind spending, but he thinks an engagement ring is too frivolous. I was shocked and upset, because I already quit my job, I'd moved in, and was locked into a new job that I hate, all for him, and the one thing I thought I mentioned clearly, he scoffed at. I get that it's expensive. I'm extremely financially savvy, and even conceded that we cut back on a lot of spending in the future. Also, I even offered to help him find a stream of income to help him make back the cost, and more. I get that it's not a good look, but does my one ask of an engagement ring I really want make me an arsehole? And edit, the dowry was a 6-figure investment. Real estate or stock/bonds that would be ours unless there was a divorce that was his fault. Then it would be mine. He said he'd only buy into that if it would be ours 50-50, defeating the purpose of a dowry. So I told my family we weren't going to do this. We talked about finances a year ago, and I mentioned that I'm very okay financially, but changing job/career would set me back. He then told me recently after this ring debacle that he didn't know that I would ever actually hold him to his expectation. He has done a bit for me. He paid for most of our meals whenever I'd visit. Then he said he didn't like how much he spent and that I should be helping pay, so cost sharing went to 60-40 between him and me. Edit 2, I showed him this post and there's something he'd like me to add which is fair. I'm not paying the mortgage or any form of rent, but I am paying utilities and groceries to make up for the cost of my move up to be with him. This is until we actually get married. Once we're married, I want to split everything equally. Also, it's 23k less annually. And the dowry explained, a dowry in our culture is a gift to the bride that the family is witness to. My family traditionally has it to be a year of my salary, or his salary if I'm unemployed. I negotiated with my family that it would be in the form of investment. like real estate, and it be transferred to my name in the case of a divorce, otherwise it'd be ours while we're married. And since I work, it's a year of my salary, which is significantly more than $30,000, several times more. I'm the last to be married, so there's a ton of pressure from my grandparents. The purpose is so that if anything happens and my husband leaves me, I'm financially okay. He didn't want any of it. He didn't like the idea of buying something that'd eventually be all mine, worst case scenario. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I think I might be the asshole because the ring I want is on the higher end, and I seem pretty materialistic for wanting it. Now in the comments, Thrill Doctor 1 says, a bunch of red flags to pretty much everything there. Are you so desperate to be with someone that you will make all the sacrifices and get nothing you want in return? In case no one ever told you, you deserve to be happy and have your needs met. This man is not the one to build your future with. You have given up everything and he doesn't seem to care. Love means compromises, yes, but from both of you, and it also means to try to make the other person's dreams and desires a reality. Please stop selling yourself short. Find someone who wants to give you all those things, who aims to make you happy. And not the asshole for wanting a giant-ass ring. That is the least that he can give you. Obitadicta replies, in isolation, I completely understand the boyfriend not wanting to spend half his savings on an engagement ring. That's just a poor financial decision. But looking at the rest of the situation, it seems pretty freaking evident these two people are wildly incompatible, and the only reason the relationship has lasted as long as it has is because the OP is willing to bend over backwards to make this work. I really hope the OP takes a step back and realizes that she's the one putting all the work in here, and that's not fair to her. And OP replies to that, which is how he presents the conversation and uses that to bolster his argument. He tells people she wants a $30,000 ring because she's taking a job that's less than ideal and moving up for me, which is a massive understatement. Corsity replies to that, the way you've phrased it here makes it seem like he's brought this up to people outside your relationship. The idea that he could be belittling what you have done for him not only to you, huge red flag of course, but to others? Completely abhorrent. Furthermore, I agree that all of these things stated above are red flags and you are not the asshole. And OP replies, he has. He put it on here actually, and phrased it not only like that he even told me. And guess what? The responses weren't looking good for you. Yeah, no crap. When you tell a bunch of strangers 1/3 of a complex situation in a way that's favorable, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well then, this literally proves you are in no way the asshole. You have literally done everything in this relationship. He is the asshole by far. Please make it a long engagement if it happens. You are only now seeing what day-to-day life is like with him, and it seems as if things are off already. Good luck. Do you have a link to his post? OP replies, it got deleted. Essentially it was, she wants a $30,000 ring which is half of my savings. She is moving to be with me and is taking a less than ideal job. However, I want the $30,000 to go towards something more financially beneficial, like our child's college fund or an investment. Our next post is by user PuleXB Rider, titled, Am I the asshole for honking at a pedestrian playing Pokemon Go in a crosswalk? So I had a green light to take a left at a left-right intersection. The left turn has a crosswalk right after the turn that signals to allow for walking. When I went to go take my left, there was a one person crossing the road. He stopped in the middle of the street to try to catch a Pokemon. You could see what he was doing. This is in town, so he was not far away from me. So I blew on my horn. The guy turned and yelled he's got 5 more seconds. I yelled at him to stop playing in the street. My mum told me I was the asshole because he has time to be in the street. She was in the car with me. I disagree. A street in the middle of town is not a place to be on your phone playing a game. Me and the 6 other cars behind me should not have been held up by a grown adult playing a video game in the middle of the road. So Reddit, am I the asshole? In my opinion, having played Pokemon Go, you can actually catch Pokemon while you're walking, so this guy was just being an asshole and doubling down on it by saying he's got 5 more seconds. That 5 seconds doesn't exist. That is a cop-out, and that is an excuse. You're put into a different screen where the Pokemon is with you for a long amount of time. Doesn't matter if you walk away from it. All this guy is doing is blowing hot smoke. Your mum doesn't understand the app, and that's understandable. She's not an asshole in this situation, she's just ignorant of the situation. So I'm gonna say you're not the asshole here, and screw that guy. Now in the comments, Perhaps New says, not the asshole. Crosswalks are for crossing the street, not for games, occupying them or other activities. For crossing only. They literally warn you even when you open up the game not to play in unsafe places. Last time I checked, the road qualified as an unsafe place. I think the asshole is the Pokemon for being in the street in the first place. Right? God damn it, Pikachu, cross the damn road already. Not the asshole. He's the asshole who lacks common sense and situational awareness. There's a time and place to play video games, and the middle of said crosswalk is not it. Crosswalks are for crossing only. While he is legally allowed to be in the crosswalk, some pedestrian right-of-way laws state that a pedestrian must not linger, stop, or unnecessarily hold up traffic. Our next post is by user Ulferer, titled, Would I be the asshole for taking someone to small claims court for vet bills plus car damage for trying to save my dog who didn't need saving? So I'm in the waiting room at the pet ER right now, waiting for my dog to get window glass taken out of his feet, and I'm honestly so furious I'm amazed I can spell. Earlier today, I took my dog to the dog park as one does when one has a dog and wants a moment of peace during the day. It's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit here, but humid, so my dog ran around a bit, then kinda flopped over in the shade. Since he'd done the shade flop, I hooked him up and went to leave. We got to the car and I realized I had left his water bottle in the park. Now, the parking lot for the dog park is shared by a bunch of different things and has had a recent problem with car break-ins, and I'm not aware of a way to lock my car doors while the car is running. So, I figured it's just 2 minutes. The car is parked in the shade. I'll just put him in, lock the doors, and run to grab the bottle. When I left him, he was alert, sitting up and panting like the dickens because he was running around on a hot summer's day. Just as I grabbed the water bottle, I heard glass smash, which was weird, so I hustled back to my car and found some guy leaning into my car through my freshly broken window. Conversation is approximately as follows. Me. What the actual hell do you think you're doing? Random dude emerges from my car with a tiny plastic water bottle and a tire iron and says, You locked your dog in the car on a hot day. Look at how he's panting. Me. I was gone for 2 minutes. The car is parked in the shade and the dog is panting because we're leaving the frickin' dog park. It was at this point my dog started making big yipe sounds and I shoved the dude away from my car and took a look. Rather than think about what he's doing and break the window so the glass falls down, this guy had just gone full send with his tire iron and sprayed the entire backseat in shards of broken glass, which my stressed out dog was pacing back and forth over. In all the hullabaloo, with people trying to figure out what was going on, and me doing my best to figure out how to ease my dog's pain, this guy has realized that he's made a rather massive oopsie and tries to just sneak into his truck and leave. So while I'm cradling my dog so he's not putting weight on his glass-impregnated feet, I plant myself behind his truck so the random dude can't leave, and ask a dog park friend with free hands to call the police. The dude had the stones to actually say, "What the F, man? I was trying to help." Police came and took a report and got everyone's information, and I was told this was a civil matter and should probably be handled in small claims court. If the guy had just broken my window, I most likely would have chalked it up to good intentions gone wrong and eaten the cost of repairing the window myself. This is not just a broken window, however. This is also my dog getting hurt pretty badly, and I don't feel like this is a thing I can let slide. Would I be the asshole for taking this clown to court for vet costs and the cost of replacing my window? Edit. Hopefully this doesn't get this thread banned. This seemed to be coming up in a lot of responses. I do not contest that the dude had a justifiable concern when it came to breaking a window of my car. The bone of contention is whether his good intentions balance out, lacerating all 4 of my dog's feet because he smashed the window all over my dog and then left my dog in the car with broken glass all over the place. He's 35 pounds and had a leash and harness on. Now in the comments, CPink1022 says, "Not the arsehole. This is actually legal to do in my state, but the person breaking the window has to check to see if the car is locked first and call 911 before breaking the window. This person did neither of those things. There is no way the window breaker in this case can argue that they attempted to call 911 before breaking the window. Anyway, sue them. You have real damages that you can prove." Also, PSA to anyone else who finds themselves in a similar situation to the window breaker, most states who make this legal also require that you attempt to open the car and dial 911 before breaking the window. Not to mention, you don't break the window where the dog is sitting. If the dog is in the back seat, you would break a front window. Reach in and unlock. You never break a window where any living creature is unless it's somehow literally the last resort to saving them. Where I live, non-US, I think you have to be told by a dispatcher to break the window or the fire department comes and does it for you. I think it's based on how it's going, how the animal/person in the car is behaving, things like that. And generally, you wait a minute before just breaking it to see if the owner of the vehicle is around. They were close enough to hear the smash. FitBear says, "Everyone sucks here. You never leave your dog in a car on a hot day, even if it is for 2 minutes. The guy didn't know how long the dog was left there. He should have called the police for advice first, but why didn't you just unclip your dog and take him with you to get the water bottle?" My thoughts exactly. I see all the "you're the asshole" replies, and it really seems they just stopped reading after OP said they left the dog in the car. They don't seem to care that the dude did this in the worst way possible and then tried to flee. He obviously knew that he screwed up badly since he tried to sneak off. It seems they all forgot that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. This right here. If you have to break a window to save an animal or a kid, that's an extreme circumstance. You should be fully prepared to pay for any damage caused. Sometimes doing the right thing costs you money. It's like if you smelled smoke and kicked in your neighbor's front door, you don't know the situation. They might have already passed out from smoke inhalation and you saved their life, or they might be trying to hit the fire alarm with a broom handle because they just forgot about the cookies in the oven and there is no actual fire. In both cases, if you feel strongly enough about it to kick in the door, you should feel strongly enough about it to buy them a new door. And back to the post, second edit/conclusion. My dog's feet will be fine. The glass didn't manage to dig into anything vital, and apparently tissue glue is akin to magic. He'll actually be cone-free in a few days. Looked into how to file a case in small claims court. We'll proceed with that on Monday. Will be a hot minute before that resolves though, as these things take time. In hopes of tamping down the amount of hate PMs I'm getting over leaving my dog in the car in the summer, I feel like folks are all forgetting that all of the horror stories involve a driver pulling into a parking lot and exiting the vehicle to run into a store where they get held up and the car becomes an oven. That was not the case in this instance. My car had been sitting for half an hour and I checked the temperature before I loaded my dog into the car. If it had been a sauna in there, I wouldn't have left him in the car. And our next post is by user BunBoyTeasy, titled, "Am I the asshole for bringing my boyfriend to my sister's wedding?" So I'm 15 male and my boyfriend is 16 male, and we've been dating since freshman year and I like him a lot. And I've been out since middle school, but apparently my older sister, 20 female, didn't tell her fiancé this before he came to meet our family. He was constantly weirded out whenever he saw me, especially if my boyfriend is around and was showing affection, and would sometimes make comments when no one was around, like constantly asking me if I liked any girls, or telling me he had a nice niece that could straighten me out. Or he constantly slaps my backhand, and he never acknowledges my boyfriend, and always refers to him as a friend. Well, a week before the wedding, he basically came up to me and told me I wasn't allowed to bring my friend. Well, yesterday I decided screw it and brought him anyways. At the reception, a bunch of his family came asking my dad and my sister why I was allowed to bring a boy as my date. Apparently, he never said anything to my sister about it, and accusing me of tainting the otherwise good wedding. My dad told them to F off, and they got into a huge argument that caused us to end the reception early, with my sister upset at her husband. Am I the asshole? And edit, yes, my boyfriend was already originally invited, and my sister didn't know her husband had uninvited him, nor about most of the stuff he did. Now in the comments, Inevitable Mastodon says, I'm working under the assumption your boyfriend was invited as your +1, therefore not the asshole. Your new brother-in-law is as homophobic as they come. You didn't ruin the wedding for your sister, he did. But I do think you would have been wise to raise this with either your sister or parents before the wedding, as it was clearly going to be an issue. Agreed. If I was in OP's shoes, I'd also be really saddened and disappointed in my sister. Unless they 1. Get divorced, and 2. Never have children, brother-in-law and his family's bigoted values will impact the relationship between OP and his sister for the rest of their lives. Personally, I wouldn't even associate with someone who was attracted to someone with those beliefs, and I'd be extra disgusted if I learned that he or she had a queer sibling. Not the asshole, but you should have talked to your sister beforehand. If I'm ever in her shoes, I hope my sibling would warn me about my fiancé's homophobic views before I marry him. Definitely this. Good chance this is going to make her second guess her marriage, and having a heads up and a chance to ditch the idiot before going through the effort and expense of a wedding and divorce seems nice. The fact he went behind his fiancé's back and uninvited her brother's partner is scummy as hell. Assuming your sister was cool with him coming, which it sounds like she was. Info. Just to be clear, you were invited to the wedding, and your invite had a +1, and it was just the groom privately demanding that you exclude your boyfriend? And OP replies, yes. In which case, emphatic not the asshole. You were invited, he was invited, end of. Groom doesn't get to privately censor the invite list, let alone for being a big ol' homophobe. Personally, I wouldn't want to bring my boyfriend into that toxic mess. I'd handled it by telling my sister and parents exactly what was said, but not the asshole for attending a wedding to which you were invited with your +1. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat in the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.